If you're over 60 and your legs feel heavy, cold, or achy by mid-afternoon, stay with me for the next few minutes, because this one's for you. Here's a number that doesn't get talked about enough. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls at least once a year, and weak legs, poor balance, and slow circulation are named as some of the biggest contributors. Today we're ranking 7 drinks that real peer-reviewed research says can genuinely support circulation in the legs and feet. Not a made-up list, not hype. Just what university researchers and government health agencies have actually published. We'll go from the one that barely moves the needle, all the way up to the drink that a brand new 2025 study found works even better in older adults than in younger ones. That result surprised the researchers themselves, and I'll explain exactly why in a few minutes. Stick around to the end, because there are 2 common habits that can quietly cancel out everything on this list, and most people are doing at least one of them without realizing it. Why circulation changes after 60. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your legs. In plain English, as we get older, our blood vessels naturally produce less nitric oxide. This is well established in the medical literature. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells the smooth muscle in your blood vessel walls to relax and widen, which is how blood reaches your muscles, your nerves, and your skin. When nitric oxide availability drops, blood vessels stay a little tighter and a little stiffer. Over time, that can show up as cold feet, heavy legs by the end of the day, cramping at night, or that general achiness that makes a short walk feel longer than it used to. Now, to be clear about something, the competition on this topic tends to blur. Circulation is only part of the fall risk picture. The CDC is very specific that the leading modifiable risk factors for falls are muscle weakness, balance problems, certain medications, and home hazards. Circulation plays a supporting role, not the starring one. If you're genuinely worried about falls, the single most evidence-backed step is asking your doctor for a fall risk screening, sometimes called Dietary, and working on strength and balance exercise. With that said, there's solid published research showing that specific nitrate-rich and flavonoid-rich foods and drinks can support the nitric oxide pathway and measurably improve blood flow, sometimes within hours. That's what this list is built on. None of these replace a conversation with your doctor, especially if you take blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or have kidney or heart disease. Think of this as a research-backed toolkit to add to what your doctor already recommends, not a replacement for it. It's worth understanding the 2 main families of compounds we'll keep coming back to on this list, because they work a little differently. The first is dietary nitrate, found in vegetables like beets and celery, which your body converts into nitric oxide through a chain reaction that starts with bacteria on your tongue. The second is flavonoids, found in things like cocoa and tea, which help protect the nitric oxide you already have from breaking down too quickly and support the health of the blood vessel lining itself. Some drinks on this list lean on one mechanism, some lean on the other, and a couple use both. The ranking, let's get into it. 7 drinks, ranked from mild to most effective, based on what's actually been published. Number 7, green tea. Green tea contains catechins, a type of antioxidant that has been shown to modestly improve how well blood vessels dilate. It's a genuinely healthy habit, and there's decades of research behind green tea and heart health broadly. But for leg circulation specifically, the effect is gradual. The benefit builds over 8 to 12 weeks of consistent drinking, not overnight, and it's easy to blunt the effect entirely. Brewing it with boiling water breaks down a large share of the catechins, and the caffeine in it can actually tighten blood vessels in some people, which works against the goal. If you want the benefit, brew it with water just off the boil, around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, and treat it as a long-term habit rather than a quick fix. Number 6. Tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is rich in anthocyanins, plant compounds that reduce inflammation in the lining of blood vessels, which can help vessels relax more easily over time. Several small clinical trials have linked regular tart cherry juice with modest improvements in blood vessel function and reduced inflammation markers. The catch is sugar. A single cup can carry roughly 30 grams of natural sugar, and a sharp blood sugar spike can work against the very blood vessel function you're trying to improve, especially if you're managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, which is common after 60. If you try it, look for unsweetened tart cherry juice, dilute it with water, and keep the serving small, more like a shot than a full glass. Number 5. Unsweetened cocoa. This one tends to surprise people. Cocoa is naturally rich in flavonols, and multiple clinical reviews have found that flavanol-rich cocoa can meaningfully improve how well blood vessels dilate, in some cases within a couple of hours of drinking it. The important word is unsweetened. Hot cocoa packets from the grocery store are mostly sugar and contain very little actual cocoa flavanol content. To get a meaningful dose, you want pure, unsweetened cocoa powder, roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons, mixed into warm water or milk. It won't taste like dessert on its own. A small amount of stevia or monk fruit sweetener can make it palatable without spiking blood sugar the way sugar or honey would. Number 4. Watermelon juice. Watermelon is one of the richest natural food sources of an amino acid called L-Citrulline, which your body converts into arginine and then into nitric oxide. Clinical research, including studies specifically in older adults, has linked watermelon, or L-citrulline intake, with improved arterial stiffness and modestly lower blood pressure. It also has a real practical advantage over the juices we already covered. Because watermelon is mostly water with a relatively low sugar load per serving compared to concentrated fruit juices, it's gentler on blood sugar. The main limitation is availability and cost outside of summer months. Fresh watermelon juice is the best form. Bottled versions often have added sugar, so check the label. Number 3. Celery juice. Celery is naturally high in dietary nitrates, the same category of compound found in beets. Once you swallow it, bacteria on the tongue and in the stomach convert those nitrates into nitrite and eventually nitric oxide, which is the whole chain of events that leads to blood vessels relaxing. Research on dietary nitrate from vegetables, published in journals including Hypertension, has found it can improve blood flow measurably within a few hours, and some research suggests whole vegetable nitrate sources may work as well as or better than isolated supplements. The honest downside is taste. Straight celery juice is grassy, salty, and an acquired flavor. You'll also need a juicer or blender plus a strainer. For maximum effect, drink it on an empty stomach and skip mouthwash right afterward. More on that in a minute. If straight celery juice isn't appealing, you can blend a couple of stalks into a smoothie with a mild fruit like apple or pear to soften the flavor, though juicing alone tends to concentrate the nitrate content more than blending whole stalks with other ingredients. Number 2. Hibiscus tea. This is the most underrated drink on this list, and it's backed by one of the better designed studies here. A clinical trial funded by the USDA's Agricultural Research Service gave adults 3 cups of hibiscus tea a day for 6 weeks. The hibiscus group saw their systolic blood pressure, the top number, drop by about 7 points on average, compared to roughly 1 point in the placebo group. Lower blood pressure generally goes hand in hand with less strain on blood vessel walls and better overall blood flow. Hibiscus tea is also inexpensive, easy to find, and has a tart cranberry-like flavor that most people enjoy without needing sugar. Here's the important caution. Because hibiscus can lower blood pressure, if you're already taking blood pressure medication, talk to your doctor before drinking it regularly. Combining the two isn't necessarily dangerous, but your doctor may want to keep an eye on your numbers. One more detail from that study worth knowing. People who started out with higher blood pressure saw the biggest drop, while people with already normal readings saw very little change. That's actually a reassuring pattern. It suggests hibiscus tea is working with your body's own regulation, rather than forcing blood pressure down regardless of where it started. Number 1. Beetroot juice. And here's the one that surprised even the researchers. A 2025 study out of the University of Exeter compared how young adults and older adults responded to nitrate-rich beetroot juice. The expectation going in was that older blood vessels would respond less. What they actually found was the opposite. Older participants, in their late 60s and 70s, showed a bigger rise in blood nitrite levels and a more meaningful drop in blood pressure than the younger group. The researchers traced part of this to the oral microbiome, the bacteria living on the tongue, which shift with age in a way that appears to make the nitrate to nitric oxide conversion more efficient, not less. A separate study specifically measured blood flow in the leg. Researchers gave healthy older men concentrated beetroot juice and measured flow-mediated dilation in the femoral artery, the main artery feeding the leg, about 2.5 hours later. They found a meaningful improvement in how well that artery widened, along with a drop in blood pressure and markers of vascular inflammation. In plain terms, out of everything on this list, beetroot juice currently has the most direct, most recent, and most leg-specific research behind it, and it appears to work especially well for people over 60, not despite their age, but partly because of it. A typical effective serving in these studies is around 4 to 5 ounces of concentrated beet juice, or roughly 8 ounces of regular beetroot juice, taken on an empty stomach. 2 honest notes. Beets can turn urine or stool pink or red, which is completely harmless, and beets are high in oxalates, so if you have a history of kidney stones, check with your doctor first. It's also worth being honest about the limits of this research. Some of these studies are small, ranging from about a dozen to 60 participants, and a few were funded in part by the food and beverage industry. That doesn't make the findings wrong, but it's part of why this video points you toward talking with your own doctor, rather than treating beet juice as a guaranteed fix. Science in this area is still developing and larger, longer studies are underway. Building a simple daily routine. You don't need all 7 of these every day. Here's a realistic way to use this list. Start with 1 nitrate-forward drink most mornings, beetroot juice, celery juice, or a cup of hibiscus tea, whichever fits your taste and your medication situation. Have it on an empty stomach if you can, and give it 30 minutes before eating. In the afternoon, unsweetened cocoa or a small glass of watermelon juice makes an easy second habit. Green tea and tart cherry juice are fine to rotate in a few times a week rather than daily, given the caffeine and sugar considerations we covered. Give it 2 to 3 weeks before judging results. Some people notice warmer feet or less end-of-day heaviness within the first several days, but the research behind most of these drinks measures change over weeks, not hours, so patience matters. And one more thing worth repeating. None of this replaces strength and balance exercise, which the CDC identifies as the single most effective, most researched way to actually reduce fall risk. Think of these drinks as supporting your circulation, not substituting for movement. If you want to track whether it's actually working for you, keep it simple. Note how your legs feel at the end of the day once a week, and if your doctor already monitors your blood pressure, ask them to note it at your next couple of visits so you have real numbers to compare, not just a general impression. 2 habits that can cancel the benefits. First, antiseptic mouthwash. The bacteria on your tongue are actually a required step in converting dietary nitrates into nitric oxide. A pilot study published in 2026 found that chlorhexidine, a common antiseptic mouthwash, disrupted that bacterial conversion process and reduced nitric oxide production in the stomach. If you use nitrate-rich drinks like beet or celery juice, avoid antiseptic mouthwash for at least an hour around them. Second, the sugar trap. It's tempting to buy the bottled, sweetened versions of these juices because they taste better, but a sugar spike works against the blood vessel benefits you're going for. Read labels, look for no added sugar, and dilute concentrated juices with water when the flavor is too intense on its own. To sum up the ranking, green tea and tart cherry juice offer modest, slow-building support. Cocoa, watermelon juice, and celery juice are solid mid-tier choices with real evidence behind them. Hibiscus tea is an inexpensive, well-studied option for blood pressure support, and beetroot juice currently has the strongest, most recent, most leg-specific research behind it, especially for people over 60. As always, this video is general health information, not medical advice. Before making any changes, especially if you take blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or have kidney disease, talk with your doctor. They can tell you what's safe for your specific situation. If you found this useful, you might also want to look into a fall risk screening with your doctor, sometimes called STD, along with a simple strength and balance routine. Circulation is one piece of staying steady on your feet after 60, but it works best alongside those other 2. If this was helpful, consider subscribing for more research-backed health videos made specifically for adults over 60. And drop a comment letting us know which of these 7 you're going to try first.